Hey everybody, what's up? Unrested back again. If it's your first time here on the channel, I do all sorts of videos asking and answering questions about Japan after having lived there for 16 plus years. Anything you may have as far as moving there, wanting to get a job there, moving a family there, buying a house there, starting a business there is something you can come here to my channel and ask. But I also cover a lot of stuff as far as travel is concerned, media, news, etc. I'm pretty much here for all your JFAQ, that's Japan's frequently asked questions. Let me know in the comments below if there's some topic you want me to cover in the future. Until then, let's get started with our video, which today, around this time, summer is on the forefront, right on the edge. After we finish our spring break here, March 17th in my area of town, we've got to go to summer, which is a lot of time people ask me to tell them if it's worth visiting Japan. Is it worth visiting Japan right now? What is the climate in Japan as far as politics, people accepting gaijin, etc.? Let's get into that. It's got to be something I got to update yearly because it does kind of change as the times evolve, as the exchange rate evolves, and as Japan itself evolves. I will say Japan has grown very intolerant of people being vloggers out on the street, so I would suggest staying away from that. Don't go into shops and stuff and start video without asking if it's possible first. Just don't be a nuisance, please. You make it worse for every one of us who lives there, goes there, is a gaijin there, and has a family there. Please just be respectful, my number one thing. But let's get into, these are the number one questions that I get asked. First of all, they ask about what time is best, like what season is best. I know a lot of people who want to go there in the summer because that's when they finally get their vacation. I'm one of those people as a teacher. I can flip back over to Japan all the way through the summer because I don't have to work here in America. And I also have my family there that I stay with. I will say summer is brutal in Japan. I mean, hot, hot. The only place I would say it's like somewhat temperate is up in Hokkaido. So if you absolutely must visit Japan during the summer, I would suggest like Sapporo or someplace up north. It is going to be boiling, scorching hot. And some of you may say, yeah, but I'm from Texas, but I'm from Arizona, but I'm from Florida. I'm used to the heat. No, no, you're not used to this heat. Okay, let me tell you, you are being cooked the entire time. I mean, absolutely cooked. And there's no central air conditioning unless you're down in like Okinawa. And it is a brutal, brutal oven of a place in Japan. You have absolutely bottleneck traffic on the street pumping out heat. You've got space coolers, not AC, not central AC, pumping out all the heat from every building, sometimes multiple AC, I should say, space cooler units, pumping that heat out from the building, spilling onto the street. You've got the tar of the street just cooking absolute. And Japan keeps their streets fresh and new, so that is ultra pitch black tar that will be baking in the sun. On top of it, you've got yourself wedged between a valley of giant buildings in the urban sprawl that is Japan, especially if you're going to the big cities like Osaka or Tokyo. And you're going to be cooked between those as well. So just be ready for some insane heat. I lived in Florida almost all my life, and the Florida heat in the summer feels like nothing compared to the heat of a Japanese summer in Osaka or Tokyo. By the way, if you hear a lot of banging around going on outside, that's my car getting worked on. I got in a car accident. Thank you for all your messages asking if I'm okay. I am. My car was not, but it is getting worked on right now. So if you hear a lot of noises or Alexa going off that someone's outside your house, it's my car being worked on by a mobile body shop. That said,
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
see, I told you. That said, let's move on to our next question here. Seeing temples and shrines. People always ask me, they say, like, what temples and shrines should I go see while I'm there? I'm going to be really frank with you on this. Research like one temple, one shrine, or one castle you want to see, and then just go see it. But I will tell you, aside from like the actual castles that were left standing post World War II, other castles for the most part are recreations. They're not the actual castle. For example, Osaka-jo is a recreation of Osaka-jo. Himeji Castle would be like an original one, which I highly, highly recommend seeing. I've talked about this before in, I think, a members video that my number one spot that I would recommend everybody see is Himeji Castle with the Himeji Gardens. It's just the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. And as far as temples and shrines are concerned, maybe go out in my area. I would say Todaiji is worth it out by Nara. But after you see, and look, this is someone who's seen, I've seen tons. I've seen like everything possible, all the most famous ones. I've gone out to them and saw them in the 15 plus years that I was, living out there, and even now 16 years going back and forth between countries. After you see one temple and one shrine, like a really big temple and a really big shrine, you're gonna bore yourself if you keep going to more and more temples and shrines. All right, you've got the silver shrine and the gold shrine out in Nara. If you see the gold shrine, it's not that different from the silver shrine. Like they're just almost exact, right? You can see a couple, but I would highly recommend not making your entire trip a tour of temples and shrines unless you're really, really, really into temples and shrines. Maybe if you have like a background in Shinto beliefs or Buddhism, I could totally understand that. There's, different patrons, demigods, and kame out at all these different places. So if you have like a connection to that because of your religious or spiritual beliefs, dude, go for it, see it. But I've had people tell me before who set up their whole trip, they're like, man, we saw one and then we went out to the next one. And it's just like, not that different. It's just like, yeah, I mean, like, it's kind of like America. You've seen a church, you go on the inside of a church, they don't get that super different unless they're like ultra historically different. Like maybe if you were going to Durham Cathedral out in Europe, that would be very different than a modern day church in America. But for the most part, all the temples and shrines in Japan have to have a certain amount of upkeep on them. So they're given the same sort of refurbishment treatment. They're going to kind of look the same. All right. Make sure you don't just fill up your whole booking with temples and shrines unless you really, 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 really love them. Going shopping. People always ask me, is it worth going shopping? Like, does Japan super expensive? It used to be expensive. It really did. Back in like 2007 when I first got there, I think it was a 83 yen to the dollar. So it was a bit expensive. It's now about, I don't know, last time I checked it was 164. So that exchange rate may be totally different when you watch this video. So don't go by what I'm saying right now. So it's almost doubled. Your dollar's worth almost double now. So pretty much anything that you would go online to buy and have shipped from Japan, I would definitely buy it while you're out there in Japan. You're gonna save buku bucks. You're gonna save a ton. You're probably gonna be paying like $100 less, especially if you're into things like Gundam or like just Gunpla in general or like Playmo. Like definitely go out there and buy it there. Anime figures, things like that, definitely buy it there. All right, just be careful when you're shipping it back. Okay, remember they call bag handlers throwers. That's because they throw your luggage. All right, I would definitely pack it into something that's a carry-on. I would highly recommend anything you want to buy. I mean, I absolutely love Berserk. I love Guts, right? And I still will wait till I go out to Japan to buy anything. Dark Souls as well. If I can get a Dark Souls figurine or something like that, rather than wait around to order it online here in America and get it shipped by Amazon, go there and find it and get it for hundreds and hundreds of dollars cheaper in a collection shops. Sometimes what these shops do is people come in with their full collections of stuff and they just want to make a little bit of money. They're over their whole anime phase maybe, or they've, gotten married and need to get a little extra cash for a baby on the way, and they can go to these shops, rent out a little cubicle that's like a glass cubicle type thing, and put their full display of everything they've ever bought in their life, and they'll sell it for hundreds of dollars cheaper, and you can get a real steal on some of the stuff of like entire like One Piece collections or Naruto collections, like stuff that's like not super popular in Japan anymore. Well, I guess One Piece is still pretty popular, but Naruto's kind of lost its sparkle in Japan for the most part. There's not a massive Naruto following now. Nothing wrong with Naruto, all right? Dragon Ball Z too. Like people still kind of like it, but it's not like the hot new thing. Like it's not like a Chainsaw Man type of situation. Going to famous places in Tokyo and Osaka. This is something people always ask me. They're like, should I go out to like Roppongi or the Shibuya crossing, or maybe in Osaka like Shinsaibashi or Dotonbori or Tokyo Tower and stuff like that. If you really, really want to go to these places, you can, but do realize like if you have any kind of like crowd level anxiety or being stared at anxiety or large numbers of people around you shoulder to shoulder like anxiety, you may want to avoid this. I've had people complain to me about that later where they're like, I wanted to go out there and enjoy it, but there was just so many people I couldn't. And especially like if you go in the summer, it's gonna be nasty, sweaty, skin to skin like traffic. Like it's not fun. especially like trains in the morning. You try to get on the train to go somewhere in the morning and you realize you're there during the work rush because guess what? No one's else getting that summer break like you are right now or whatever break you're getting. Japan works all the time, every day almost. And those trains are packed, packed, packed. Aside from like maybe the first day of January is the only day that the trains shut down and don't run. So be ready for some packed trains in the morning or packed areas like in Shibuya Crossing and stuff like that, or Shinsaibashi. I mean, you're literally going to be shoulder to shoulder, and it's I don't know, it's not fun. I don't enjoy it. You know, it's cool for like if you want to do like one day of shopping there and just kind of see it, but don't. I wouldn't plan on making it your everyday thing. There's some people I've said who like after I was there for one day, like in those areas, I was kind of over it. It's just like, yeah, I mean, mix it up. Maybe do a temple and a shrine one day, then do a shopping day. Then the next on the list is staying at a capsule hotel. People always ask me, should I do that? Is it just going to be like really fun? And it's like, I mean, do you want to stay in the smallest hotel you possibly can? It's kind of like a sideways porta potty. I don't know. Like anybody I've ever talked to who stayed in one, they're like, yeah, it was just kind of like an inconveniently small space, and I really didn't enjoy it that much. But I liked the free drink area because there's always like a free drink cafeteria usually connected to them. I mean, it's if you've ever been in a bunk bed and you slept on the bottom bunk, you've been in a capsule hotel. It's not that crazy. Like you're not gonna like have your mind blown by this thing at this point. Do it if you absolutely need to. But one thing I'd really highly not recommend is if you're doing a family trip and you've got little kids, I would not recommend doing a capsule hotel. I've heard that turn into a total horror story before. You're not, gonna have enough room for you and a kid to be in one of those. But your kid might also be scared to be in one of those by themselves, and you're not next to your kid. They're like literally contained in another capsule. It makes the whole situation very weird. I wouldn't recommend it, and it's not a place you bring kids either. And last but not least, we're going to close it up with this one. I've had people talk to me before when they say, I bought a hotel room in this area, like I booked it out for this many days, but I have a Japanese friend there who tells me that area is like really dangerous or not safe or very yasu, very gehin, which is like dangerous or ghetto or cheap area. Should I be worried? Like, and it's like, no, no, no. Sometimes Japanese people will tell you that they're just trying to be nice because there probably have been like more crimes there. And when I say more crimes, like more bikes have been stolen there. People have had their umbrellas taken at the 7-Eleven when they went in from the rain. That's what they're talking about when they say a higher crime rate. You are not going to be held up at gunpoint, mugged, or have a knife put to your throat or something like that. There's not really super dangerous areas in Japan. Even areas that are super cheap, they may be cheap because they're not as clean as other areas of Japan, and maybe even just the area itself is an echelon of people who work lower level jobs. Sorry, that's the only way I can say it. I'm not trying to be, demeaning to blue collar or whatever kind of work. It just that area tends to have the same level of job. Like the first area I ever moved into was called Sakuragawa, and I would tell people, my students would be like, Sakuragawa, abunai, which is like, that area, it's so dangerous. And it's just like, I would be like, no, no, noze abunai. And they'd be like, factory waka. There's factory workers there. It's like, so like, people have been murdered or what? And they're like, oh, no, 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 no. What are you talking about? They're just factory workers? Come on, give those poor people a break. You know, I hate to say it, this is Japan's xenophobia coming out. A lot of factory workers can tend to be Brazilians, Filipinos who have, half Japanese citizen. They have Japanese citizenship because they're half Japanese, or they have Japanese heritage. They can automatically get citizenship. But some of them, if they don't speak fluent Japanese, one of the easiest jobs for them to get is a factory job. And then Japan will consider that a dangerous area because いっぱい外国人がある. Too many outsiders in that area. Okay, all right. I'm also an outsider, so I guess I'm gonna be okay. Don't I know it's Japanese people trying to worry about you if they're your friends and they've heard that that's a dangerous area. Don't worry too much. The only area I would say in Japan, like maybe not a great idea to stay in, is Roppongi. Roppongi has a bad reputation of kind of dicey, sort of sketchy bars where people have had certain incidents go down, like had their credit cards taken or had their drink drugged where they were drugged out and they had their credit card taken and a bunch of stuff charged on it. That's the only area I've heard stuff like that go down. So maybe if I was going to say any area of Japan, don't stay the night or don't rent a hotel in is Roppongi. But Roppongi's mostly a dive bar district. I wouldn't really imagine there's a lot of great looking hotels out there. I haven't been there in a long time and things change quick. It's probably been like 10 years since I've been in Roppongi. So it may look totally different now. I don't know. But last time I checked, that was the most dangerous, quote unquote, area of Japan, which is still not really that dangerous. So just realize, like, for example, in my area there's a place called Dobutsu no Mae, which is literally translates to outside of the zoo, and it's definitely a dirty area. It's far more dirty. There is a lot of homeless people around there, and people will tell you that it's dangerous. There's some super crazy cheap hotels out there, and I'm talking like maybe $10-20 a night hotels, and people tell, "危ない. そのところ本当にゲーム." And it's just like you're gonna be okay. It's not super dangerous or super ghetto or anything like. Well, it's a little bit ghetto actually. It's a little bit ghetto looking, but it's definitely not dangerous. There's like pachinko parlors nearby, which is like, if you don't know what I mean when I say pachinko, it's like a gambling game that some people play. So it's very heavily traveled for that. But don't worry yourself. You're gonna be okay. I had a friend who stayed there for almost 6 months straight, and he never dealt with anything. The most he probably dealt with was other gaikokujin being too loud in the hotel next to him. That's about it. So clear your book. You're fine. You're going to be safe, and Japan will be definitely way safer than any place you're probably from, especially if you're American like me. Japan, hundreds of times safer. You're going to be super safe. I will say, kind of go there with a plan. Don't go there expecting anybody to help you in English. Tokyo, you may be okay getting some English directions and stuff. But one big shocker that I always get asked, they're like, "Oh, I went to Japan and I couldn't even order it in English at McDonald's." And it's like, yeah, man, yeah. I asked the police for directions and the police didn't even know English. And it's like, yeah, did you learn anything about Japan before you went there? Are you okay? Like, don't expect anything to be spoon fed to you in English. All right, go there with a plan. Your phone's going to have a GPS. It'll still work there. Get some kind of plan where you can keep using your GPS out there. You're going to be fine. You're going to be okay. But don't go there expecting people to cater to you in your language. That's not going to happen. But I think most of you here at my channel usually know that that's the case. Anyway, guys, thank you again for all your well-wishing as far as my car accident was concerned. Again, my son and I are safe. We did okay. My car is a mess, but it is being fixed right now. If you do decide to become a channel member, now would be the best time, please. It's $1.90 a month, and it gets you one extra video every week, which usually adds up to 1 hour to 2 hours of extra video per month for $1.90. I try to make it worth your time. I get way more personal with the stuff I talk about there. So if you're more interested in my more personal stories about Japan, jump onto that membership. And thank you. Thank you for all you do. Thank you to all the members I already have. You're a massive amount of how I make anything from this channel. You guys don't know how much you've helped me this whole year. This whole year, you guys have kind of really helped me out a lot, dude. You've kind of been like my saving grace this whole year. So I just want to say I feel privileged to have you as viewers, members, subscribers. I feel privileged to just have this channel that gets, anywhere from 1,000 to 3,000 views per video. I know it's not a lot, I know it's not big, but I will always say I don't have the most popular channel. I'm not a very well-known YouTuber, but one thing I do have is the best group of audience members a guy could ask for, and I thank you so much for that. Guys, stay safe, have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you again real soon.